everybody, it's Vicki from Minerva and welcome to our Fabric Masterclass series. So this series of videos is designed to complement the Minerva Fabric Guide, which is an ultimate reference guide to learn all about fabrics, specifically for dressmaking. So the guide covers everything from understanding like the fundamental properties of different fabrics, through to fibres, through to what you can make in different fabrics. And in the last chapter, the last section of the guide, we cover 70 of the most popular base cloths, and each of them come with a physical swatch for hands-on learning. So if you are interested in purchasing a copy of the Minerva Fabric Guide, we do have them in stock at Minerva now and we can ship them out worldwide. That's no problem at all. So in this masterclass series, so myself and Jo, who you'll know from the channel, we have filmed 2 videos, so for each of the 70 base cloth that we feature in the guide. So we're going to be working through the base cloths in the guide alphabetically. So today we're going to be taking a deep dive into Bengaline fabrics. So we'll take a look at some of the fabrics that we sell here at Minerva. We'll look at the differences between them, and I'll be giving you lots of pattern suggestions as well. So you've got lots of ideas and inspiration on the sorts of things that you can make with Bengaline. And then in Jo's video, which is coming later on today, so do keep an eye out for that. So Jo is going to be showing you how to sew with Bengaline. And there's, as always with Jo's videos, there's loads of hints and tips. So there's always so much to learn. And she will also be sharing some maker community inspiration from Minerva. So you can see what people in the Minerva sewing community have been making with Bengaline, and just give you even more ideas and inspiration on the sorts of things that you could make too. So without further ado, let's get stuck into it. So in the Minerva Fabric Guide, we have a 2-page spread for each of the 70 base cloths that are featured in the guide. So this is the section on Bengaline fabric. So Bengaline fabric, now let me hold one of these pieces out for you. So Bengaline, we find, is often one of those fabrics that is more unusual. Not every sewer will probably have sewn or maybe even heard of Bengaline. And it is certainly suited to certain types of projects, but it really is a wonderful fabric, and I often find that people that have sewn with it love it and then come back for more. So yeah, hopefully in this video you'll get to see a little bit more about Bengaline. With your fabric guide at home, you'll be able to have a touch and feel of it, and learn even more from the guide. And hopefully we can maybe encourage you to have a go sewing with Bengaline when you've got a project that would be just perfect for it. So Bengaline fabrics are often made from a blend, often from polyester and viscose with some elastane or spandex lycra content added to the fabric, and that's what gives Bengaline the stretch and recovery that it has. So Bengaline fabric is a woven fabric, but it is a stretch woven. So and what is the unique characteristic about Bengaline is that the stretch happens down the length of the fabric rather than the width. So on most 2-way stretch fabrics, you will find the stretch goes across the width, but it's the opposite way around with Bengaline. So the stretch goes down the length and none across the width. So Bengaline, it has a very, very subtle, almost like a ribbed like surface texture. So it's not like a rib fabric, it's nowhere near as pronounced as that, but when you look up really close you'll be able to see what I mean, in that it has this ever so slight almost rib texture on the surface, and that ribbing runs from selvage to selvage. And I think what that does a lot for the fabric is that it gives it almost like a sturdy kind of feel. And when you actually handle Bengaline yourself with the swatch that you'll have in your guide, you'll see what I mean, in that it has a feel almost unlike any other fabric you'll feel. It's a very distinct sort of handle. Now the name Bengaline, interestingly, so it's thought to have originated from the resemblance of the fabric's texture to the ribs of a Bengal tiger. I remember learning that years ago and just thinking what what a really sort of interesting tidbit that was on the fabric, and it certainly makes it stick in your mind, I think. Now, Bengaline often has a very, very subtle, ever so slight glossy finish, so you wouldn't go as far as to say that it's shiny by any stretch, but it just has almost like a slight sheen to it. And what that does is it gives the fabric a very kind of polished, finished kind of look. Yeah, and I think that naturally lends itself to, you know, to wanting to be made into certain sort of styles of garments. It's also known for its durability. It's a very durable fabric, and it's also resistant to wrinkles as well. It's a fabric that doesn't crease very easily. So in the fabric guide we also cover weight, opacity, drape, stretch and washing instructions for Bengaline, and also what you can make with it, which is what I really want to focus on today. So like I say, with that subtle sheen that it has and this quite distinct handle and feel, it's definitely considered more of a formal fabric. And therefore, very often what it's commonly used for are things like jackets, trousers, skirts, suits, dresses, jumpsuits, and it's very, very popular for workwear. You know, so things to wear to the office, anything where you need a, you know, slightly more formal look. And the fact that it's very, very durable and easily washable as well, you know, it brings all that into effect as well. So let's have a look now at some of the different Bengaline fabrics that we stock here at Minerva. So I've got quite a few different ones from our core ranges, which are all fabrics that we run, you know, all year round, and, you know, a huge selection of colours in each one. So you have loads and loads of choices. So yeah, let's have a look at this one first. So this is just our regular stretch woven Bengaline suiting. It's made from a blend of 77% viscose, 20% nylon and 3% elastane. It's medium weight at 220 GSM, so that's 220 grams per square metre. It's approximately 147 centimetres wide, so it's a nice wide width. And then the stretch on this, so across the width, like I mentioned before, it has 0 stretch, but down the length it has 30% stretch. And what I wanted to mention with this as well is, you know, 30% stretch on fabric, that would often fall into, you know, typically would be a knit fabric, but this Bengaline is absolutely a woven fabric, not a knit. So you want to take that into account with the things that you're making and how you're sewing it, which Jo will cover in the video later today. But yeah, it has a lot of stretch, does this fabric, particularly, you know, for a woven fabric. And of course that's just in the one direction. And just one thing to mention as well, which Jo will cover this in a video later today, I'm sure, but with garment making, you know, very often you want the stretch to go across the body. You know, there's very little benefit to having stretch going down the body on a two-way stretch fabric. So generally you will want it the other way. So with Bengaline fabric, it is common to cut out your pieces at a 90-degree angle to how your general sewing pattern layouts will show you. So, you know, usually you would lay the fabrics down, lay your pattern pieces rather down the length of the fabric, but because the stretch goes the other way on this, you want to cut them at a 90-degree angle to that, and that will give you the stretch across your body. And what a fantastic stretch and recovery this fabric has. So yeah, so this one is our, like I say, just our regular Bengaline. It comes in loads of colours, fantastic price point, and yeah, a nice high viscose content in this one as well, so it has a nice soft feel to it. So the next one I've got to share with you, so again, this is our sort of like our regular Bengaline, if you will, but this is a heavier version. So this one is called our heavy stretch woven Bengaline suiting. Hold this one out. So this is a lovely, very dark navy blue colour. And this is made from a blend of 74% viscose, 22% polyester, 4% elastane. This one falls into our medium to heavyweight category at 255 GSM, 147 centimetres wide again, so these are generally always wider with the Bengaline. And this one has 0% stretch across the width, but 35% stretch down the length. And you know, perhaps if I hold it out as well, you might be able to see how Bengaline moves, and it's one of those that it is quite difficult to describe. Like I said earlier, it really does have a handle of its own, does this fabric. But you'll see, you know, even though it's got a high viscose content in this respect, because of the way it's woven with these ever so slight, almost like a fine rib, it does hold its shape, but it still has that beautiful softness with it as well. So when I come to the patterns in a little bit, I'll show you, you know, lots of examples of how you can really sort of make the most of that structure in the fabric and that handle that it has. Now the next three I've got to show you are all actually quite new ranges to us here at Minerva, in the Minerva Core range, so we're really excited about these. It's kind of expanded our range of Bengaline fabrics wonderfully. So this one is our melange stretch woven Bengaline suiting. So this one is made from 50% polyester, from 24% rayon, 23% nylon and 3% elastane. It's 145 centimetres wide, medium weight at 220 GSM, and it has 0 stretch along the width and about 20% stretch down the length. Now what makes this fabric really special is that it has a melange effect to it. So basically what that means is that the threads or the fibres that have woven this fabric have a slightly like a mottled appearance, and that creates a fabric that has this slightly mottled or a marled look to it. So it's not a completely flat and solid colour, it just has this, it's not even a texture as such, it's just, yeah, like a marl finish. It's really, really lovely. Gives the fabric a very soft kind of look, I think, and it's just something a little bit different. And I often like that in a plain or a solid fabric, where yes, it's a plain, it's a solid, you know, you can, you know, it makes it so versatile and very easy to wear in your wardrobe, but this just has something a little bit special, a little bit different about it. So yeah, I really, really loved that particular one. And like I say, with all these that I'm mentioning today, they all come in lots of colourways. So, you know, the colours I'm showing you are just one of, you know, a huge range that we have on the website. So the next fabric I've got, now this one, like I say, is another new one. So this is our pinstripe stretch woven Bengaline suiting. So as you can guess, this one actually has a pinstripe, a very fine pinstripe woven into the fabric. So that's really, yeah, just again another one that I guess from a distance, maybe even on camera there, you might not even be able to see the pinstripe because it is very, very subtle, very classic. But yeah, it just gives it an extra little detail, an extra little bit of something special. So on this particular one, so this one is made from 73% viscose, 21% nylon, 4% elastane and 2% polyester. It's 148 centimetres wide, medium weight at 240 GSM, and with this one it has 0 stretch across the width and it actually has 50% stretch down the length, so it's a really stretchy one, that one. Yeah, really, really lovely. I think, you know, especially if you're making workwear or, you know, something more formal, perhaps to wear to the office or a very, you know, for a smart occasion, then a pinstripe one is a really lovely finish, I think. This one's a lovely khaki green colourway, but, you know, with loads of colours on the website. The next one, another new one, so this one is our Ravello stretch woven Bengaline suiting. Now this one's a little bit different and that it is lighter in weight than some of the others, and I think that does give it a little bit more of a crispness than the others that we've looked at. So this one is made from 67% rayon, 30% nylon and 3% elastane. It's medium weight still, but it's 170 GSM, so that's, you know, it's a whole 50 grams per square metre less than some of the others. And, you know, it just kind of just falls into the medium weight category on our website. It's 142 centimetres wide. Again, it has no stretch down the width of the fabric, and it has about 45% stretch down the length. So a nice, a very stretchy one again, this one. So with this one, it's the lightness of it that makes it different to the other ones, but also I would say that the ribbed sort of texture is a little bit more pronounced on this, and it does give it a really nice finish. You know, again, it's just something a little bit different. And this one does come in some really gorgeous colours as well. This is the wine colourway, which I think is lovely. Personally, I love that colour. I think it's yeah, really lovely colour to wear. But yeah, there's all different colours in this particular range. So yeah, if there's a particular colour you're looking for, you'll probably find it in that one. And then the last fabric I've got, so this one is actually one on its own, and this one is our faux leather PU stretch woven Bengaline suiting. So this one just comes in black, and it's made from 72% rayon. Oops. Hold that out there. There we are. So 72% rayon, 21% nylon, and 7% elastane. So this one, you can really feel this when you hold this one. This one is in our medium to heavyweight category at 300 GSM. So this is our heaviest weight Bengaline that we're looking at today. It's 150 centimetres wide. It has 0 stretch across the width and approximately 30% stretch down the length. So with this fabric, what's interesting is it obviously has this PU or faux leather coating that has been applied on the surface, and that's partly what adds to the overall weight of the fabric. But also crucially, what that does to this fabric is it certainly gives it not just more weight but more structure and body as well. Like you can see when I hold that up, you know, just how much it's holding its shape. So if you want something with a little bit more body that's going to hold the shape and structure, you know, that could be a really lovely one. And even just to make, you know, some faux leather look trousers and that sort of thing, it will be fabulous for that. So that's all the fabrics I wanted to share with you. So next, let's take a look at the sewing patterns. So I've got a whole bunch of sewing patterns to share with you here, a complete mix of different styles and yeah, all sorts. So hopefully it's going to give you a really, you know, good sort of, you know, wide variety of patterns and styles that you can, you know, you can take and draw inspiration from. So first of all, let's take a look at the McCall's 8162 pattern, and we'll insert some images as we go. So this is a fabulous jeans and overall pattern. So you've got 2 different styles of jeans or trousers, and then you've got a short overall and a full length overall as well, and any of the 4 styles from that pattern would be absolutely fabulous in Bengaline. I think one of the things that Bengaline is really fabulous for are fitted garments, because that stretch in the fabric will make fitting so much easier, and it will make the garment very comfortable to wear. You know, as you move in the garment, the fabric will stretch with you. So it just makes a more fitted garment so much more comfortable to wear. And you know, for a trouser or a dungaree like this, you need a fabric with a little bit of weight and a little bit of body. So yeah, any of those would be perfect. I'd probably be tempted to go more to the heavier weight Bengalines we've looked at, you know, the medium to heavyweight, perhaps not the very light one for this. But having said that, you could make a lighter pair of trousers or a lighter pair, you know, lighter dungarees, and it would be fine. But my probably personal choice will be the more medium and then medium to heavyweight ones. Next up, I've got a fabulous skirt pattern. So this is Vogue 8750. And this pattern actually includes 6 different views, but predominantly you have like a straight, sort of like a pencil skirt, or you have a flared skirt that's fitted through the hips and then flared at the sides. And then each of those styles comes in 3 different lengths. So it's mainly really 2 different styles and then just different length options. With all of these skirts, they feature quite a few panels, and that's something else that with Bengaline, because it has body and structure, you know, and a bit of weight to it, sewing panels in garments, it sews up really nicely. And I think this is a really good example of a woven pattern where you've got a very, you know, formal kind of pencil skirt that's quite fitted, That's wonderful in Bengaline because, you know, you can achieve the fit really nicely, and it will be very figure hugging, and, you know, but it will be very comfortable to wear as well because of the stretch in the fabric. But also the flared skirt version is another example of where Bengaline can come into its own. Now, if you made that skirt in, say, let's say a crepe fabric, for example, that skirt is going to, the flared skirt is going to hang very straight, and it will swish and waft as you move, and that would be very lovely. In Bengaline, it's absolutely going to hold the shape. So it won't swish and waft the same, but it will hold the shape of the garment beautifully. So both those fabrics, you know, that's an example of where the same fabric can work for the same pattern. Sorry, different fabric can work for the same pattern, but give a completely different feel. So yeah, I think that's a really good example of where Bengaline can be used to hold the shape of a garment and really kind of accentuate, you know, the style lines. Next up, I've got a very fitted dress. This is from Vicki Sews Patterns, and it is the Sigourney dress. Sorry, I probably pronounced that wrong. Anyway, this is a very fitted dress with a zip up fastening up the centre, and it has cup shapes in the bodice that come up to a halter neck. And aside from that, it is a very, very simple dress with a split up the front that leads into that zip. It does have princess seams for shaping in the bodice area. And yeah, as you'll be able to see from the images, you know, it is a very, very fitted dress. Now, if you were to try and make that in a non-stretch woven fabric, one, it would be incredibly difficult to achieve a perfect fit, but also it'd feel, you know, very, very rigid and limiting really when you're wearing it. In Bengaline, I don't think there could be a pattern that could be more suited to Bengaline, because made in Bengaline, that dress, it's going to make it 1,000 times easier to achieve a fantastic fit. But also, as you're walking and moving in that garment, the fact that that fabric will stretch with you is going to make an absolute world of difference. Yeah, it absolutely would work wonders for that pattern. Next up, I've got another dress pattern. This is Vogue 9050, and this is another example of a dress which, well, one that had another example of a pattern that has panels in it. So again, that works really well in Bengaline. It's also an example of a dress that comes in either a very straight fitted version or a version that has a flared skirt. And it also has this really lovely detail around the neckline as well. And I thought that was a good example of where Bengaline can come in on that sort of style as well, because with Bengaline you'll be able to achieve a really crisp edge and a crisp finish to that neckline. I think just down to the weight, the body, the structure, and the handle really that you get with Bengaline. So yeah, it would make a very sort of classic, timeless sort of dress in one of those styles, and in either the more flared option or the, you know, the more fitted option, it'd work absolutely brilliantly in Bengaline. Next up, I've got another dress, but this is very different. So this is the Butterick Retro 6242 pattern, and it's a 60s style dress. Now, with this pattern, with this style rather, so it is recommending on the fabrics crepe, broadcloth or wool jersey. So it is quite a random mixture of fabrics that they're recommending. So it's interesting to note that it's suitable for a jersey fabric. But the other two that they've recommended are so different to each other. So crepe is a very soft drapey fabric, and broadcloth is a woven structured fabric. So with this, I thought, now I would be tempted to make this not in the very heavy Bengalines, but the softer, lighter weight ones. And I think it will be absolutely fabulous for this style. What it's going to do is that whether you go for the straighter skirt or especially the full skirt. I must admit I was looking at that one more, but either of them would be fabulous. But the one with the full skirt, wow, would it hold the shape of that skirt beautifully. And it's not to say it would stick out loads or anything, but it would just hold it nice and pronounced. It would be fabulous for that. The band around the waist, it would sort of, you know, it would bring in the folds very nicely. You get some lovely sort of crisp folds around there. And then the sleeve, which is like a grown on or almost like a batwing sort of style sleeve. Now in Bengaline, you know, it's not going to be as soft as if you did it in a crepe, but it's another example of where it will just hold the shape of that sleeve and it would make a really dramatic, fabulous sleeve, I think. But it's for that reason on this pattern that I would definitely be tempted to use one of the lighter weight Bengaline to this, just so that in that sleeve you've just got enough softness to not make it feel so so it wouldn't feel stiff or structured at all. And the other thing on this pattern why I think Bengaline would be fabulous is that gorgeous neckline that's like almost like a slit neckline that's really wide. It would make a really crisp neckline like that, and it would just sit really beautifully. You know, the weight and the handle of Bengaline is just going to hold that really nicely. So yeah, that one's a little bit different. Next up I've got a menswear pattern. So this one is Burda 7046, and this is a classic suit pattern. So you've got, you know, a suit style blazer jacket, you've got trousers, like classic trousers, and then you've also got some formal shorts as well. So this is just a really good example of, you know, if you want to make a formal suit or a formal, you know, just a blazer or just a pair of trousers that have that, you know, relatively smart, formal kind of look, then Bengaline is perfect for it. When you go in the shops and, you know, you see these sorts of garments, very often you'll find them made in Bengaline, and it does just give them a formal, very smart kind of finish. Next up I've got another fantastic pair of trousers. This is Simplicity 8056. Now this is one of their Amazing Fit collection, which I've made a couple of these patterns myself in the past. Not this particular one, but ones from the Amazing Fit collection, and they really are good patterns to really help you, you know, create a really good fit. So on this particular pattern, you've got flared pants or flared trousers in 2 different lengths, and you've got a shorts pattern as well. And with it being an Amazing Fit pattern, it gives you individual pattern pieces for slim, average and curvy fit. So, you know, if you're someone with more curves, there's different pattern pieces for you as there will be for someone who, you know, is maybe a very straight up and down figure, or someone that's more petite. So yeah, I think just the fact that you've got those options in the pattern is really good. But again, this is a very, I would say, classic, quite formal, quite smart pair of trousers. It's got a contour waistband. It's got pockets, which are a really nice pocket in this pattern. And it's got a modern, you know, slightly flared leg. So yeah, just a really, really lovely classic pattern, and another example of where Bengaline is perfect for making trousers. The next pattern I've got is another dress pattern. So this is Butterick 6410. It's one of their fast and easy patterns. So yeah, it's a nice quick make, this one. And this one is quite a simple, almost like a shift dress or a fitted pencil dress. It's got some lovely panel details, and you've got sleeveless, short sleeve or long sleeve options. And I just thought this was another lovely example of quite a formal, smart kind of dress. Not necessarily formal, but, you know, something you could wear to work in the office, or something you could wear for a more, you know, slightly more dressed up occasion. Yeah, I think it's a really classic, quite simple dress, but in a fabric, you know, like one of the Bengalines, it would just sew up really nicely, and it's going to be nice and comfortable to wear because of the stretch. My next pattern, this is another dress from Vicki Sews, and this is the Emery dress. And this is a really, really beautiful, actually. Lots of details on this pattern. So we've got a round, simple neckline, full length sleeves. You've got a slight, like the hemline sort of shapes like this. So it goes down at one side and up at the other. It's very fitted. It has darts at the back for shaping. It has a slit up the back as well, so it's going to make it nicer, you know, a bit easier to walk in. But the star of the show on this pattern are these gorgeous folds that go across the body into like the side seam, and that's really where I thought Bengaline would come into its own. So one, you've got the fitted nature of the dress, and you know, like we've already said, Bengaline is fabulous for that. But with these folds in the garment, I think the fabric that they've used on the envelope is a good example of how Bengaline would look in this pattern, because you can really see the folds of the garment. You know, the weight and structure and handle of the Bengaline is going to mean that, you know, those folds are nice and prominent and don't get lost, or, you know, don't look a bit, you know, floppy and a bit sad. You know, they're really going to hold the shape and be nice and pronounced, and it'll just look really, really good. And then the last pattern I've got to share with you today, so this is a very popular pattern actually in the Minerva sewing community. This is the Harriet jacket from Style Art Patterns, and this is a really classic collared jacket. You've got a couple of different options, a 3-button option and a 2-button option, both with slightly different collar details. But it is just a very simple jacket, quite boxy. It's got a little bit of shaping from darts and it has a sleeve dart, which I think is a nice feature, so it creates a nice shape in the sleeve. But really, apart from that, it's a very simple, very boxy style jacket. And again, I think Bengaline in this would just be perfect, and possibly the more, you know, the medium to heavyweight ones rather than the very light one. But if you wanted a lighter weight jacket, you could use a lighter weight one as well. But I think the weight, the body, the structure, the handle of Bengaline, everything about that would really complement this style of jacket. It would hold its boxy shape nicely, and it would have that slightly more, you know, smarter, formal kind of feel to it. Yeah, I think that would be a really, really lovely jacket option. So that's all the fabrics and the patterns that I had to share with you today. So I really hope you've enjoyed, you know, taking a deep dive into Bengaline fabrics with me. Like I say, it's definitely one that I think possibly not, you know, as many sewers perhaps have sewn with it before or have come across it before. It's one of those fabrics that's harder to source as well. But yeah, we do have a lovely range in it here at Minerva, and it, like I say, it really is quite a unique fabric. And you know, if you like to sew styles that are a bit more fitted, or a bit more, you know, a bit more figure hugging, or you like, you know, you like having stretch in your woven garments, then, you know, if you haven't seen or sewn with Bengaline before, it really could open up a whole new world of fabrics to you that, yeah, it's just going to transform your sewing. So yeah, do let me know in the comments. I'd be very interested to hear, you know, who has maybe heard of Bengaline and who has sewn with Bengaline. Yeah, I'd love to know if we're right in that and thinking that, you know, it is a lesser sort of known fabric. So as always with these videos, I will tag everything that I've mentioned, the fabrics, the patterns, the fabric guide as well, below this video. So if you want to check out any of the fabrics or patterns that I've mentioned, then you can find those easily on the Minerva website. And as always, the fabulous thing with the Minerva website, if anybody shares their makes, you know, shares things they've made in these fabrics or patterns, you'll be able to see them on the product pages. And it's just always, you know, really inspiring, isn't it, to see what people are making, you know, and read people's experience on sewing with different patterns and fabrics, and just to see, you know, lots of inspiration. So as always, you'll be able to find all that wonderful sewing inspiration on the Minerva website. And just to mention as well, we do offer super fast free worldwide delivery here at Minerva. So wherever you're watching us from in the world, we can send parcels of sewing joy out to you. We do sell samples of any of our fabrics here at Minerva as well. So if you do just want to touch and feel the fabric, you know, before you commit to purchasing, then you can order a sample from us. That's no problem at all. And we do offer a thread matching service for all our fabrics as well. So, you know, we can do the hard work bit of matching a thread for you. So I think that's everything I wanted to mention in today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, don't forget to watch Jo's video later today. It's coming to the channel later today, and she will be talking from a slightly different angle all about Bengaline fabrics. So Jo's approach is how to sew with Bengaline. She'll be sharing lots of sewing tips and advice. And also sharing some wonderful maker projects from the Minerva website, so you can see what real people in the sewing community have been making with Bengaline fabrics, and hopefully it'll give you even more inspiration on what you might be able to make. So thank you so much for watching today. Do let me know in the comments, is Bengaline a fabric that you've sewn before, or would you like to now give it a try now you've watched this video? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back again next week to look at the next fabric in the fabric guide.